Hello, everybody, wherever you're watching from. You're joining us here at Football-Oranje.com, and tonight, Netherlands won, Poland 0 in the Nations League. The first match without Ronald Koeman, the first match of 2020 after all of this time. And a goal for Steven Bergwijn, who I wrote down in my notes just before he scored that he was anonymous, Mike. It's been that kind of evening, hasn't it? Quite frustrating for the Netherlands fans, and it's a win, so that's a positive, right?
Yeah, any win's a win. But I don't think it's the kind of game that we're wanting to see, especially first one in 2020, first one for 10 months. I think it's a bit drab in the first half until Frankie de Jong hit the post, and that was only a bit of excitement. I thought Netherlands is a bit lethargic going forward. I think Memphis was trying, he was running around, but I just don't think he's helped much. Promise was more exciting, and I'd say Bergwijn, who is totally anonymous until he did score his goal, but I couldn't miss from there. I think the goal came down from an excellent pass from Frankie de Jong, who looked back to his best in his natural position, which he doesn't get at Barcelona, and it's just more evidence of where he should play for Barcelona. But overall, I'm quite disappointed in the performance and quite disappointed in the game, and just the conservative way that we lined up, and the fact that no changes were made until like 50 minutes to go. Only one change until de Jong came on for like a second. I think I would like to see some of the young players come in just for 5-10 minutes, just to give them some time. I know we're holding on to a 1-0 lead, but yeah, just kill the clock with bring on a Hatter and just give him a cap or a Vijndal. Not a game that I was expecting. I thought Poland were organised, defensive, looking to hit us on the counter attack, which they didn't really do. I think everyone's defended well. I was a bit down on Joel Veltman starting, but I think he did actually all right alongside Van Dijk. I think Hateboer did all right going forward. Nathan Ake was good defensively. I just didn't think he did enough with the space that he got on the left. He could do with natural left back playing there. But overall, win's a win. Top of the group because Italy drew with Bosnia. So it's a good start, and then just hope for a better performance on Monday.
I think you could rate the performance at a bit of a 6 out of 10, couldn't you, Mike? Wasn't the worst, but it just had a bit of. I think it lacked Koeman. I think it lacked the manager who was just going to give them that bit of a push towards the finish line. I'm not saying that players were being lazy out there, not at all. They look actually quite passionate to play for their country. Memphis in particular, who I thought looked a bit frustrated as the game was going on. Perhaps because it was 0-0. I think the goal came at the right time, because had it gone on much longer, I think the Netherlands would have found it quite difficult to break Poland down. Poland would have probably dropped deeper. That surprised me, actually, with how kind of poorly average Poland played. They were missing Lewandowski tonight, who's having the rest after winning the Champions League with Bayern Munich. But I didn't think that they caused too many problems at all for the Dutch. And I don't think that you could say that was because of an excellent midfield or defence for the Dutch. I just think that they could have offered more, and therefore the Dutch perhaps were a little bit lucky to beat them tonight. I can see we're getting some comments in on our live stream this evening. If you're watching this back a couple of days after we've streamed this, make sure you join us on our next live stream. We're going to try and give you more and more of these on Football-Oranje.com. I'm just looking at some of the comments here. Let's bring some up on screen. I've got one here from Matai. So Frankie looked absolutely amazing. Was he your man of the match tonight, Mike? Because I think he was for me. It wasn't an easy choice, but Frankie was the one who was causing those problems.
Yeah, I think he was the best player on the pitch. His pre-assist for the goal was great. I think he looked tireless over the field. He was in control of the midfield. Didn't give the ball away at all. Was always dropping deep, asking for possession. Got his head up, dribbled the ball forward throughout the game. It's the Frankie we see every game for Netherlands. It's the one that you don't see for Barcelona. It's the one that keeps the ball, keeps Netherlands moving forward. He was definitely the best player on the pitch for me.
Question here from Daidara, who's asking, is our offence good enough? And can you put Memphis and Luke de Jong up the front together? I think a little while ago I said that Memphis would be good playing a bit deeper again. He was playing for a long time in the left wing in his career. Now he's playing to strike, and he fits that role well for the Dutch. I don't think that's worth changing too soon, unless Daniel Marlon and Myron Boadu really come out and sort of, I guess, become that world-class striker in Netherlands. At the moment, they're not that. They're still very young players. But yeah, Luke de Jong does offer that option, doesn't he? I don't know if he's ever going to be a starting striker for the Netherlands. He scored those 2 goals in the Europa League, didn't he, Mike? But you wouldn't say that he's ready to start games yet.
No, I think you play a totally different way if you play with Luke de Jong. You're looking at getting crosses into the box and playing long, which is not what Netherlands want. It's to do that you'd have to take out Frankie de Jong. You just fire the ball forward all the time. At times against like defenses like Poland, somebody like Luke de Jong would be quite handy, because there's times where Nathan Ake was getting the ball on the left, looking to cross, but there's no one really in the box to get on the end of it. Netherlands just don't play that way. Memphis drops deep to get the ball, but I think the issue tonight wasn't Memphis, was the fact that Bergwijn didn't really offer much on his side, and the players that are going to come in for him are better options. Daniel Malen, like Boadu, Stengs. I think these are the players we want to see going forward, have a bit more pace than Bergwijn. I think he's too similar to Memphis. I think he's that kind of bustling, strong forward, not one that's got loads of pace. For it to change the attack, de Jong's the type of player that you throw in if you're losing 1-0 going into the last 10 minutes and you need to fire the ball into the box. But I don't think he's one to start with. I think Memphis just needs a bit more help up front with somebody a bit pacier. And there's a few times where we countered tonight, but the players just aren't quick enough to get through on goal. So someone like Daniel Malen is going to be perfect for that.
I still think Bergwijn and Promes have got a role in the team. They're excellent wingers to me, and at the moment they're also far more experienced and playing at high levels than Calvin Stengs, Mohamed Harden, for example. They're both playing at good Eredivisie sides, but at the moment haven't quite proved themselves. They're very young. So for me, Promes and Bergwijn have still got to be in there, and they do offer that quality. They're very skillful. I guess to answer the question here with Luke de Jong, he's an option, isn't he, off the bench? He's a pinch hitter, but he's also someone who is useful at top when you're when teams really are putting men behind the ball, and him and Memphis are used to have 2 up top at the same time. Poland for me is in that kind of opposition, although they probably didn't offer as much as they should have done with their qualities. Yeah, I still think Memphis is the one to play as a striker at top. I can see we're getting quite a few comments through now, so thank you very much for sending those in. Please do keep sending those in, and if you have sent a comment in, we will try and answer that throughout this chat tonight. I just want to look through some of the things here. I've got in my notes here, Mike. Throughout the game, I think let's go back to the beginning. Nathan Ake and Joel Veltman were two players to start, surprisingly, in the defence tonight. Why didn't Owen Wijndal get a game? Why didn't he get his first cap? Was it just maybe a risk too big, worth taking for Dwight Lodewijks in his first game as manager? And what do you make of the choice for Veltman as well?
Yeah, I think the safe play was to put Ake on the left and to put Veltman in. I think that was a low-risk option, whereas Wijndal, it'd be his first international, maybe didn't want to throw him in at deep end, and the option for Skurs or Ake in the centre instead of Veltman, I think he just played it safe by playing Ake on the left, Veltman in the middle, went for the experience. I wasn't very happy with Veltman to start, but I actually think he had a good game. I think he was solid at the back. There's a few times where he stopped counter-attacks. He was good in the air. I think Van Dijk strolled for the game, whereas I think that Veltman had to make a few more tackles than Van Dijk did, but I think he did overall pretty well. Ake defensively, as I said, did well. I just don't think he offered enough going forward. There's a few times where he's in the space. He just doesn't have that pace or trickery that somebody like Wijndal might offer, or a more attacking left back, like a Patrick Van Aanholt, somebody that can actually swing a ball in, like a Jetro Willems. These players that can get assists. Ake's not that. He's a defensive left back. So going forward, I don't think either of them are the answer. I think that the fact that De Vrij was missing, the fact that De Ligt is missing, sort of made Lodewijks go with what he had to do. But yeah, I think Veltman did all right tonight and can't really fault his performances.
No, not at all. Ake and Veltman didn't have bad games. I thought that Veltman made a couple of mistakes to begin with in the game. Could be a bit nervous, but towards the end, actually, he did have a decent game. You can see that he's not the answer. And the reason I think why Ake was played was because if you had Wijndal, Veltman, and Hartlepool in defence, you've only got Van Dijk really who's going to win loads of headers in the penalty area, but also going forwards, free kicks and corners. You may have noticed tonight that Van Dijk and Ake were going forward, whereas Veltman wasn't, just because again, Veltman isn't that presence in the air. And yeah, Ake down the left-hand side, he's just not agile enough, is he, to really get forward and really sort of hustle and bustle and be skillful and put crosses in. He's a far better centre-back, which begs the question, maybe wasn't Ake played in defence next to Van Dijk, and then you can start Wijndal. Yeah, for me, Wijndal has to be an option going forward. I just hope that he's not treated the same as Patrick Van Aanholt, because Van Aanholt's a good player, but maybe because he is such an attacking left-back, they just don't consider playing him. If you look at the options at fullback, they tend to go with the more conservative options rather than more the wing backs. I hope that changes in future. I think, can I just mention, by the way, Frenkie de Jong hitting the post at the end of the first half. What an attacking move that was by Dutch. They didn't have a complete off night. There were still some really special moments.
Oh yeah, the little chipped pass by Memphis for that moment was excellent. And even the goal, Frenkie de Jong's little chip pass to Hatteberg was excellent. There was flashes of brilliance. This wasn't what we're used to under Kim, and it wasn't great. It was just okay, and there was a flash of brilliance that we eventually got a goal and eventually held on. It always makes me nervous when we try and close out games, like we did tonight. When Poland were getting corners, I was like, oh, here we go. 90th minute corner, it's got to be a sucker punch. But I think that, they all defended pretty well. And yeah, it's just a 1-0 win with a couple of flashes of brilliance, but not much.
On that point of Frenkie de Jong, Momentary says he's by far the best player on the pitch tonight. He glides across the pitch like a maestro, excellent vision, wet pass, always offensive looking. Agreed. Who do you think should support him in midfield? Before kick-off, Matt, I noticed that you mentioned, I know it's during the game, but before that anyway, you're sceptical of the choice of Martin Delone. You're not saying he's a bad player, but you are saying that he's a poor choice next to de Jong in games like this one.
Yeah, I think Poland sit too deep. If you guys sit with all your men behind the ball, Durin's not going to do anything. He's going to sit there. He comes alive in games where Netherlands are maybe back to the wall and they have to try and cut out attacks. That's when Durin comes into it. That's what he does for Atalanta. Whereas when you're trying to break down teams, what does Durin offer? Much, not much. So yeah, I'd rather see a Van de Beek in there, or even like a Leroy Fer. Like Fer would have offered more going forward. He's taller, he can score from corners. He's done it before for Netherlands. He's good in the air. So it's somebody with a bit more creativity than Durin has. Yeah, going forward, maybe against Italy, I can see Durin playing because you want to have that screen in front and let Frenkie go on his little runs. But against teams like Poland, I just don't see the point in having Durin in there at times.
Yeah, that's true. I wonder if Van de Beek could be given a run next to de Jong. They know each other really well from their time at Ajax. Van de Beek is more of a 10, but can play as an 8. And if you're looking for a bit more of attacking impetus, why not choose him next to de Jong? And then again, you can have Wijnaldum in the 10 position. I think we should go through some of the comments we've got here. Let's go back to Momentary first of all. Good points. Being too conservative in our fullbacks for the past few years. Strange considering the past 20 years it's been such a strength and signature of Irania. I just went here now. Thought Hartlepool was solid at right back, got forward, provided an assist, worked hard and defended well, very active. Yeah, like there was a time where Hartlepool perhaps wasn't really shining for Irania. He didn't have a really bad debut. Am I remembering this correctly, Mike? He didn't really have the best start, did he? And then Dumfries came and took his place.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think Dumfries would have played again tonight if he wasn't away because his wife's given birth. I think Dumfries would have played again, but Hatteberg got his chance, and yeah, I thought he did all right. I think he was strong, got forward, gave away a couple of silly free kicks. Otherwise, I thought he had a solid game. He plays in Atalanta in a 5 at the back. I think he's more of a wing back. So maybe if someone like Louis van Gaal came in and went back to his 5 at the back formation, then Hatteberg would be a good option for that. Doesn't really play at a 4, but I thought he did all right tonight.
Yeah, he did do all right, and he got the assist for the goal. Thanks for the comment, Asher. Ben says, Dwight Lodeveikis is a coward. All defensive duties first players on the pitch. Low block teams are sold by creative players like Ihataren, but Dwight was too scared. Skeptical, but yeah, maybe that needs a different manager to come in and make that difference. But then, Louis van Gaal's a favourite, and I think we will talk about the future Netherlands managers towards the end of this live show now. So if you're still listening, do stick around for that. We're going to talk about a few of the candidates. But Louis van Gaal played 5 at the back. So would he then be the answer? Would he go back to a system like that and play more conservative football? Or we're going to see someone come in and take what Koeman did and maybe go even more attacking?
We'll see. I think Van Gaal gave youngsters chances as well. It wasn't just Koeman that gave him the chances. And the fact that the question here was saying that Lodewijks is a coward, I kind of agree. I think it was his first game in charge. He was trying to play it safe. Didn't take any risks at all. I think if he's trying to impress the KNVB, get the wins in, I don't think tonight's performance is going to impress anybody. I think it's just going to be, right, the one is conservative, but why didn't we see any substitutes? Why didn't we see some of the youngsters give him a game? Because I think they could have played tonight. I think that Poland didn't offer that much going forward that he could be scared to give Ihataren some minutes or Wijndal, or even just freshen up towards the end, because I thought that some of the players were getting a bit leggy out there. De Roon got booked, and Frankie got booked, Memphis got booked, but he didn't change anything. And even when he did bring on Van de Beek, I thought it was quite weird because he brought him on for Bergwijn and then pushed Wijnaldum out to the wing. I wasn't very impressed by his coaching tonight, and I don't think he's going to be the option going forward. I think he's just going to pick the same players that Koeman did and play a conservative, no-risk style of play. I think he's done his team selection as well beforehand, the squad, where he picked the same players like Babel and Strittman. He's just not going to delve away from that at the moment.
Obviously, the Italy game is coming up, and we'll talk a bit more again about it in a moment. Do you think, though, that Lodewijks is still getting advice from Koeman? I know he's not getting paid to do so, but when you're so deeply involved in it and you're preparing for the squad, you're preparing for the matches, do you think Koeman still has an input in both the squad and, well, even maybe the team selection for games like this?
I think so. I think he was asked about it in his press conference if he spoke to Koeman, and he kind of batted away saying, like, no, he just wished me well. I wouldn't be surprised if Koeman had a word, or if he asked for any advice on his tactics or his team selection going into the game. I think that's fair, because it's a big moment for him. He wants to obviously get a win for it. If he's only in charge of the Netherlands for 2 games, he wants to try to get 2 wins just so he can say that he was in charge of 2 wins of the Netherlands national team. I don't see why I wouldn't get any advice from Koeman. I don't think Koeman would not give him any if he asked. So, I don't see why not.
A couple of comments here. Talking about defence. Vilhena did also play left back under Koeman. He was a very attacking option. No Stefan de Vrij tonight. Yeah, he was a big miss, and this was probably his chance to play next to Van Dijk and get that cap in next to him and stake his claim to win his place from De Ligt. Can you expect any changes in the defence, do you think, for the next game on Monday, Mike, against Italy?
I think if Dumfries is back, Dumfries comes back in. Other than that, I don't think he will. I think if he was going to make any bold defensive moves, he would have done it tonight against Poland instead of Italy. Whereas I think that he's kept a clean sheet tonight. Probably doesn't think he needs to change it going into that game. I don't think he'll make any changes, to be fair. I think he'll stick with the same 11 that he's picked tonight. Sure.
No, just as we still think we underusing Patrick van Aanholt. Luke set a question here. Thoughts on how Bergwijn played on the right and Ake at left back? I've sort of talked about both of those now, but I think Luke sent his question in earlier. Both played all right, but it's just there weren't really stand-up players tonight, were there? Not satisfied with the choice of players. No Dumfries, no younger players like Marlon and lads from RZ. Yeah. What else happened tonight, Mike, with the RZ players? Just while I'm picking the next comment here.
Yeah, so the Netherlands under 21s beat Belarus 7-0. And 5 of the goals were from AZ players. So Boadu got 2. Koopmeiners scored his usual penalty, and De Wit got 2 as well. yeah, I think we can all agree that Koopmeiners should have been in the squad. The fact that he wasn't picked was strange, and even the Dutch press asked about it during the press conference, and it's kind of just batted away with, "Oh, we just didn't go with him this time around." I don't think the argument that he needs to be with the under-21s is valid, because I think any team that Netherlands put out tonight, they would have had Reece instead, and that still beats Belarus. I mean, they were awful. So Koopmeiners could have came in. I think he would have done better than De Roon tonight. I think he's just got more to his game than somebody like De Roon. So I hope to see Koopmeiners in the future. I think with Boadu, he's just recovered from an injury. He's not 100% fit yet. Same with Stengs. I think that's why they were not there this time around. But Malen as well, I think he's not fit. He's only just coming back for PSV, so that's why they weren't there. And Dumfries is away because his wife's giving birth. So I think the next time that there's a squad in October, I'd like to see the likes of Malen, Stengs, or Boadu, one of them, get a chance. But I think this time they weren't fit enough.
Question for Michael. Are you both fans of the Dutch? And if so, how did you end up becoming fans? Oh, long story short, for me, I would never full out say I'm a Netherlands supporter, but equally I'm not an England supporter. International football for me isn't quite the same as club level, but I certainly do enjoy watching the Dutch play and their style of play. That's something that always stands out for me. What about you, Mike? Why do we always do this? Why do we always talk about Dutch football?
Well, I'm Scottish, but I've got a Dutch family. My gran was Dutch. So growing up, my home country always missed all the tournaments, so I always supported the Netherlands, and I grew to love the Netherlands more than the Scottish national team. And yeah, that's why I support Holland. I've had countless trips over there visiting family, and a lot of family from there. So yeah, I might be born in Scotland with a Scottish accent, but yeah, I'm definitely a Netherlands fan.
For me, it's more to do with the league, I think. Just following the Dutch league, and then that led into the Dutch national team, because so many of the players played in the Dutch league. And the 2010 World Cup was quite an adventure, wasn't it? Back on topic for tonight. Question here: Myron Boadu should have got chances. No Marlon, no Boadu, no Hetaren should have been put in place of either the last 10-15 minutes. Or yeah, even put him for the last minute when De Jong came on. What are your thoughts on this? Why haven't Boadu and Marlon been called to this squad, Mike? They're two strikers who are going to be the future of the Dutch national team. Why can't they be put into the squad now? And these these Nations League games are meant to basically replace friendlies, but in a competitive manner. So why don't we see the Netherlands take more risks? Or is that part of the problem for you as a fan, just seeing that they're not taking enough risks like this?
I think, as I said, like Malen and Boadu are not fit enough at the moment. I mean, they both just came back from injuries. They're both only a few games for AZ or a few games for PSV in pre-season. I think that maybe even PSV might have had a word and said, don't pick Malen because he's just come back from a serious injury. Don't have him playing for the Dutch national team yet. And I think that the choices that he took, he thought he can win these games with the players like Promise and Bergwijn. I think that they will come into it. I think Malen, Boadu, they're definitely the future. As well as somebody like Joshua Zirkzee or somebody like that, if they impress next season, they can come into the fold. But I just think this time around, they just weren't fit enough, and that's why they weren't in there. Same with Stengs. The only thing that annoyed me tonight was, Hatrin. I think he should have came on at some point. I think if you need to cap him, why not bring him on for a couple of minutes? I think he's good enough. He offers something different than what was on the pitch. He's more creative than probably any midfielders we had on tonight. I think he's going to be the number 10 for the national team going forward eventually. So I don't see why not just give him a game. But yeah, I think it was just very conservative tonight. It was hold on to the lead. The choices weren't of what I would have went for, and I think that's fair enough. Like he wanted to win the game. This is only 2 games he's going to be in charge of the national team. I think he's just played it safe tonight. But I think going forward, hopefully Hatrin makes his debut against Italy at some point. We get him capped, and then a new manager will come in and make him more of a focal point of the team.
Yeah, absolutely. Got another comment from the same fella here, who misses Sinkgraven too. I think since he's become a left back, he'd be a more interesting choice for the national team. but he's not playing enough at club level, is he, really, to be selected, I don't think, at the moment. And you've got, Vindal coming through and playing really well. Hosen's probably should have been picked instead, who's now selected Germany, unfortunately. But I think we both agree on Ryan Babel, who's had a good career, but just now needs to be dropped from the Dutch national team.
Yeah, he's maybe during the last Nations League when he is contributing, but his club form does not lend him to the Dutch national team. He was awful when he joined Ajax. We'll see what he does for Galatasaray this season, but any new manager that comes in needs to strike him from the team and strike Strootman from the team straight away. And the two of them don't offer anything on the pitch, don't offer anything at club level. I don't see why they're picked over players like Koopmeiners, or if you're going to pick Babel over a half-fit Malen or a half-fit Bordeaux, doesn't make sense.
Yeah, no, that's right. So the selection might still change if the new manager comes in October and might want to shake things up. But they need to make the most of the chance before the Euros begin, and October's the last chance to experiment. A couple of things relating back to what I was saying about Van Gaal, with if he did come in playing 5 at the back. My side thinks that we'll go back to 5 at the back. In 2014, we played Martins, Indy and Vlaar. Now we've got Van Dijk and De Ligt. True, although I did really rate Ron Vlaar in 2014. It just worked with the system with the wing backs. You saw Blint, for example, playing that really good ball to Van Persie for that famous headed goal. That wouldn't have happened if Blint was playing so far back, I don't think. I think the wing backs was what really helped their style of play. And there's another one about, the 3 centre backs. Do you think we should play 3 centre backs considering it's our greatest strength and build a team around them? For me personally, I think that would then make De Jong a little more redundant, because then he'd have to still play deep with the 3 centre backs. What do you think, Mike? I just think that would be a bit too conservative.
Yeah, I think going forward, I'd like to see it continue with a 4-3-3. I think De Jong needs to be the one that carries the ball forward, whereas if you've got 3 centre backs, it's usually one of the centre backs that takes possession, and like a Daley Blind would get it in centre defence and bring it forward. It needs to be Frankie De Jong. And then, I think also with the attack, you had Arjen Robben, who is so quick during that tournament. We just don't have that pacey player at the moment going forward. Somebody like Daniel Malen might be that, but if you've got to play a 5-3-2 and have Memphis and Promise up front, it's not going to offer much going forward. Even at times tonight, I thought that the attack was too narrow. I think Bergwijn, Memphis and Promise all came in the centre, and there wasn't really any overlapping runs with Ake and Hateboer at times. So see how that changes against Italy. But I think if you go back to 5-3-2, you know Frankie De Jong and you know our attack. So I'd like to see it stick with 4-3-3, because I think that you saw tonight, Frankie can play balls out, but so can Van Dijk. Van Dijk was pinging balls over the pitch brilliantly. So I think you've got the two there that can carry it forward.
Yeah, he was released a few Steven Gerrard-esque like Hollywood passes, didn't he? That's the wrong lie. He had the month of his footballing license moment of truth in 2014. I'm an Aston Villa fan, and he played really well for Aston Villa around that time as well for a couple of years. I really, really rated Vlaar. Injuries were his downfall. You still wouldn't
put him forward for a penalty kick, and I think that was a daft decision in that Argentina game. I think I had Missa over it, and that's what happened. I think Vlaar got a bit too confident over there and thought he could take a penalty, but no.
Fond memories though, fond memories for me. Asher says to drop Babel, Strootman and Fur, we can do better at this point. Yeah, for a while we've been mentioning how we think that Strootman and Babel need to be out of the squad. I can't put every single comment up, but thank you very much for sending those in. We'll chat about a couple more things before we do finish, Mike. Just one here as well about how someone else here is someone who's watching tonight who's English, who's following the Netherlands, following all over the world. Thank you for your comments, guys. On to the Italy game. Do you think it's going to be a very similar type of performance from the Dutch, or do you think that Lodewijk is going to talk to his coaches, talk to his team, talk to Ernest Faber, and do you think he's going to change anything?
as I said, I can't see him changing anything in the lineup except for maybe Dumfries coming in at right back. I think they'll play the same way. I don't know if Italy will be as conservative as Poland were, or maybe Italy will try and attack a little bit more. We'll see. Because I think that was the problem tonight. There was no space for the Dutch attack at all. And the times that they tried to counter, they were getting hacked down as well. So, yeah, I think Italy might play a bit more expansive, which might lead to more chances for the Netherlands, but we'll see. Italy got a poor result tonight, so they'll probably need to win. So I might open up the game a bit. So, yeah, if I can see a bit more attacking football on Monday, I'd be happy with that.
Yeah, I think the football has to be better. I think the players know they can do a bit better, and that should make a difference against Italy. But I see it being kind of a close game again. For me, one of the frustrating things tonight, which is perhaps not the first thing you'd say, but the amount of free kicks that Poland gave away, the Dutch didn't make enough of the free kicks and corners that they had tonight. For me, that every single ball that went in, I mean, there's a couple of headers that were won, but when the headers were when they went well wide, I think there's one of De Roon that went well wide. Ake had a corner, I think, that went well over. I think that they need to make most of those kind of chances because against teams like Poland, they're going to kick you. They're going to give you those free kicks away. And the balls into the box were okay at best.
Yeah, I think there's one near the end where the ball came in and Ake tried to chest it down for some reason for Van Dijk instead of just taking it on himself. Yeah, and some of the free kicks around the box where it was getting tapped to Memphis, and Memphis was just smashing it as hard as he could. None of them came off. So I think they need to be a bit smarter when they get free kicks around the box, and that's why you're kind of just waiting for somebody that can come into the side that can actually take a free kick, because Memphis can't take free kicks. You can't. So that's why somebody like a Hatterin or a Koopmeiners eventually will come into the side and we'll see better deliveries or better shots, because them two are better on dead ball situations than Memphis is. But I think he just kind of takes over those situations and goes for the glory, because he is basically the big man in his national team, attacking wise, and if he wants to shoot, he can shoot. 9 times out of 10 it doesn't come off, but maybe that one time out of 10, like a Ronaldo who always shoots from a free kick, and that one time out of 100 it might go in, and then he looks like a hero.
And it's all over Twitter and Facebook. Didarson's commenting, without any changes on the pitch, I think we will defeat Italy 1-0 and a little bit boring like tonight. I think it will be a little bit boring like tonight, actually. I do agree with that. And I think I made a prediction in our match preview video we put on YouTube, which unfortunately most of us are irrelevant because Koeman left the job and then changes to the squad and whatnot. But I did actually say at the time that I thought it might have been a 0-0 draw tonight, and I wasn't too far off. And I think the same will happen against Italy. I think they'll try and be careful. It's going to be quite a reserved sort of side. But the Netherlands are going to look to rely upon their front four to come up with the goods, because they're very good players. And against Italy, there might be a little bit more space as well, a chance to catch them in the counter-attack if they can win the ball back. Maybe this is a game where De Roon next to Frenkie de Jong is going to be the ideal situation, because they're two players that are going to try and win the ball back and play the ball quickly out of defence onto their pacey front four. Well, when we say pacey, by the way, they're not really fast, and that's a problem. The Dutch are lacking that really quick winger. But I think they're really quick on their feet. You can see how quickly Memphis can turn a player just because of the amount of core strength he's got to be so agile on his feet and just turn someone. That's the kind of thing that they need to try and use to beat Italy for me. Have you got a prediction for Monday night, Mike?
I think that, Italy's centre-backs, obviously great centre-backs, but they're a bit aging. I think that Netherlands can get at them. I think that Netherlands can definitely win that game. I think that if you offered it to us 2 wins from these 2 games to start off the Nations League, would snap it up. So if it's a 1-0 win, I'm happy with that. Take 2 wins out of it, get to October, appoint a new coach, and then go from there. I think that these games are sort of a free hit with Lodewijk is in charge, and then the KNVB will then make their decision about who comes in. But yeah, I'd like to see a win, 1-0, and some of the young players given a chance, whether it is just 5-10 minutes at the end. I'd love it if it was 4-0 to Netherlands, totally ripped apart Italy, and then brought a Hatterin on for the last half an hour because they're so comfortable. But yeah, I can't see that. I think it'll be edgy again. But I think on paper, the Netherlands have a better side. So if they play to their best, they should win that game.
Agreed. They didn't play their best game tonight, Italy, with a 1-1 draw against Bosnia. So they're beatable, and the Dutch got to make the most of that. To finish, Mike, I think we should talk about some of the coaches that are being linked with the Dutch national team job. When I saw what you posted actually on Twitter for the Football-Oranje page, I noticed that a lot of all the names were Dutch managers. Is it going to be a Dutch manager? Does it have to be? And if so, who do you think are the main contenders now? Some of them are kind of ruled out already, but then who's still in the frame now?
Yeah, I think it's going to be a Dutch coach. I think that we saw a Fox Sports presenter put through Arsene Wenger, who quickly denied it. And I think a lot of fans got excited about that. I don't know if it would have been a right choice anyway, but I think it's going to be somebody Dutch. Louis van Gaal is the one that's getting the press at the moment. I think a lot of presenters are putting him forward. Apparently, he said to Nos that he would consider it. I think he's I saw a report saying he's waiting to see what the reaction is from people in the country to see if they'd want him back. And if he is really wanted, then he would come out of retirement. Maybe that's his ego. Maybe that's him wanting us to beg him to come out to lead us to Euro 2020. But if you said to me, you can have Louis van Gaal or you can have Frank de Boer, Louis van Gaal takes it every single time. I think that the other Dutch coaches that you'd want to take it, the Philip Cocu's, the Peter Bosch's, the Erik ten Hag's, aren't going to take it right now. I think they're going to stay in their clubs. I can't see Peter Bosch leaving Leverkusen, having just signed a lengthy contract. The KNVB would have to pay a release fee for him. That's not going to happen. So, yeah, I think it's going to be a free agent, this manager. I think you're looking at Mark van Bommel, a Henk ten Kat, or Louis van Gaal. Out of all them, if you're going tactics-wise, you have to pick Van Gaal. If you're going for somebody that's going to come in and do what Koeman did, maybe not have so much to do with tactics and just kind of get them confident, maybe go for a Frank Rijkaard again, somebody that's been out of the game for so long, is said he's never been interested in coming back. Does he really want it? We'll see. But it seems that the big names getting put forward right now is Van Gaal. It seems that everybody's getting asked about it. Even Van Aden was getting asked about it in his press conference. Even he said that he got along with him during the last time. They wouldn't mind. I think that the only player that would maybe have issues with it would be Memphis Depay, because I think there was some stuff said in his book about Van Gaal. Their relationship might be a bit frosty, but we'll see. We'll see who the KNB picks. They've got a month until the next game after the LA game to make a decision. They've got less than a year to Euros. You really need to try and get somebody in quick. I know it's about making the right choice, but I think you have to bring that someone in that can basically watch a full year there, Eredivisie, and pick the squad for the tournament as quick as possible. And he's not going to have many chances to work with a team. So I think it has to be somebody coming in that knows the league, knows the players, and can make quick decisions. And I think that's going to have to be somebody Dutch, and it's going to have to be somebody that's free and available. Frank de Boer would be the one that I don't want.
Yeah, I was just going to say that you make a point the way it has to be a Dutch coach, just because the league is so important at the moment, because the best players are Dutch in that league, and they are rapidly going to come into the national team. Frank de Boer is someone I don't think anyone really wants. Let us know in the live comments right now who you would want as the manager of a Dutch national team. I personally think that Louis van Gaal is the one to go with. He's such a big ego, but he does get results, and I just hope that him and Memphis therefore don't clash, because Memphis is the spearhead of the Dutch national team at the moment. Van Dijk's captain, but Memphis Depay is the voice of that team. He's also the person that really, if he's playing well, the team's playing well. If he's frustrated, the team is frustrated. At least that's what I tend to notice. So Van Gaal has to really try and get him fit and firing to give the Netherlands the best chance. Is there someone who you really, really want in that job, Mike? And is it someone who's even linked with a job?
My preference would Maybe be Philip Cocu, but it's not possible. I think he would come in and do a good job. I think he's at Derby County now, and he's not going to leave there. He'd be my choice. But after that, I would go with Van Gaal. I think he would be the perfect manager to come in for one tournament. Come in, G out the players, get the tactics right. He did so well at the World Cup last time. He makes the right decisions at the right time. You saw it with the Krul substitution for the penalty shootout. He can just do masterful tweaks to win games. Whereas somebody like Frank de Boer, he's ruined his reputation at the clubs he's had since Ajax. Some reports coming out that he's really arrogant and doesn't get along with his players. I don't really want him with the national team. I know he knows some of them from his time at Ajax, but don't really want that there. We need to have someone that can continue what Koeman's done. It's a harmonious camp. So Cocu would be the best. Van Gaal, tactically the best. And maybe a Frank Rijkaard, but I just worry with him being out of the game for so long.
Yeah.
If it's kind of moved on without him. But yeah, some of the suggestions get put forward, like a Henk ten Kat and Ruud Gullit partnership. Not for me. Yeah, you've got to try and get the best man for the job. Van Bommel, if he came in, you'd probably bring Van Marwijk because that's his father-in-law, and maybe that's a good combination. But yeah, the choices out there aren't great right now because the best ones are attached to clubs. So yeah, you've got to look at somebody like Van Gaal would be the number one option for me.
You wouldn't say it was a safe pair of hands, would you? But he's definitely a capable pair of hands. And leading into the tournament next year. I've just put some of the comments on the screen. I'm sure you guys can read them yourselves to see what you are thinking, who should be the next manager of the Netherlands. A couple of last things then before we finish. One is about the goalkeeper. 1989 Alanya says, your opinion on the position of the goalkeeper? Because personally, I don't think Cillessen is good enough. We actually had another one as well saying Cillessen didn't feel some confidence either, lacked a real presence between the posts and likely to be number 2 at Valencia next season. He's still playing quite well there for Oranje for me, and even though at club level he has had his struggles, I think he's doing pretty well for the national team, and if it ain't broke, don't fix it, as they say.
Yeah, tonight he didn't have much to do. He made one save that was straight at him. Other than that, he didn't really do much, so you can't really base it on tonight. Netherlands do have some goalkeepers coming through that are potentially going to replace him. Bijlo at Feyenoord, look at him. He's an excellent keeper. Pijs at Utrecht. We'd all like to see Bizot getting a chance after what he's done at AZ. But right now, until Cillessen starts making errors, he's number one, and he's going to stay number one. So I can't see him getting replaced anytime soon.
Sure. Got a comment here from Van Persie Feyenoord. I'm Canadian born but half Dutch, and I've been so happy to have found your site for years. Back to be able to keep up with the Dutch footy in English since my Dutch isn't great. Thanks, guys. Yeah, we're grateful of you guys like yourselves as well, who obviously follow our site and keep us passionate about doing what we do. We really do enjoy doing this. Obviously, we don't get a lot of money for this. If anything, so what we ask for as well is if you can support what we do, we would appreciate. If you don't want to do that, you don't have to at all. But you can purchase a Football-Oranje wristband that look like this. They've got Euro 2020 on as well, so you can prepare for the tournament, which is next summer. And they've got a QR code on as well. So if you scan that with your phone, it does work. Tried it. Takes you straight to our website. If you want one of those, you can go onto our Twitter page and you can get the link from there. I can also post it in the live comments now. Actually, I'll try and find it. We've had a comment here about Ten Hag. He should stay with Ajax. I think he would be many people's choices, wouldn't he? Ten Hag or Peter Bosz. They're two very attacking coaches, but they're probably not going to leave their jobs, are they, to come and coach the Netherlands? But then, didn't we say something similar about Koeman? Where did Koeman come from to get the job? But I remember thinking that he wasn't going to come to the position, but then he did. He left, didn't he?
Yeah, he became a free agent after leaving. He got sacked by Everton, so then he was free for Netherlands. Yeah, he didn't leave a position for the Netherlands. He was chucked out by them.
Sure.
The Netherlands sort of brought him in. So yeah, it makes it even more of a shame that we gave him a chance and then he leaves. But yeah, I can't really blame him for picking Barcelona as his dream. So we just need to move on. But I can't see Ten Hag leaving Ajax for the Netherlands job. I think it's too early.
Yeah. And there's a comment as on the title. Was correcting me there. Coman was fired by Everton. Yeah, that's right. Right. I think we've covered everything now tonight. We've got obviously this league game coming up on Monday. Mike's not going to be available, but I'm still thinking that if there's enough of you guys want to have a live stream, I can still try and do one. I can try and get some of your comments in on the live stream as well about the game. And yeah, we'll soon know, probably within the next month or so, who the new Dutch manager is going to be. Is it going to be Van Gaal? Is it going to be anybody else? But yeah, final thoughts on tonight, Mike. It was an average performance, but it's good that now average performances yield wins for the Dutch. There was a time a few years back where they just didn't, and they lost pretty poorly. So that shows you how far the Netherlands have come and how far Koeman took the team as well. I think a lot of credit goes down to him.
Yeah, I think considering where we were a couple of years ago when we were missing tournaments, being annoyed at a win is strange, but it's just not the performance that we wanted tonight. Not a player selection we wanted. We just want to see a few of the youngsters getting a chance. A win's a win. We move on from here. Hopefully it's a better performance against Italy. If it's not, then you can basically say, Lodovic is not going to get the job full time. Yeah, I think hopefully a better performance against Italy. Hopefully a better game. And tonight was pretty drab, but win's a win and move on. Top of the table. Can't ask for more than that.
Absolutely. Hopefully another Nations League run is coming for the Netherlands, and there's many more good times ahead. Thanks for joining me tonight, Mike, and thank you to everybody who's been on the live stream, leaving their comments. We've had so many to get through. And so sorry if you couldn't get to your comment. Please do come and join us again next time. We do a live stream for another Netherlands game. Goodbye. Bye for now. I was going to say good night, but many of you are watching around the world. So goodbye wherever you are. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening.